Hello everyone, this is Stella, and if you're planning to travel in 2026, especially if you're over 60, I need you to stop what you're doing right now and pay very close attention because the airport system has changed so dramatically in the last 12 months that travelers who flew perfectly fine last year are now missing flights, losing mobility assistance, getting medication confiscated, and standing confused in terminals that feel like they were designed by robots for robots. Not for real human beings who remember when airports had helpful staff and clear instructions. Last Tuesday at Newark Liberty International Airport, Mr. and Mrs. Edward Sullivan, both age 73, married for 52 years, flying to San Francisco to celebrate their granddaughter's college graduation, arrive at the airport 2 hours early, thinking that's plenty of time. They've flown dozens of times. They know the routine. But when they approach the check-in area, everything looks completely different. There are no traditional counters, just rows of digital kiosks with touchscreens and a single line marked Express Digital Check-in. They stand there confused, holding their printed confirmation email, looking for a human agent to help them. Finally, a young airline employee walks by, and Mrs. Sullivan asks, "Excuse me, where do we get our boarding passes?" And the employee points to the kiosks saying, "Right there, ma'am, just scan your confirmation." But the Sullivans don't have smartphones. They have flip phones. They can't scan anything. They ask, "Is there a counter with a person?" And the employee says, "Full service counter is at the far end, but there's usually a wait." The Sullivans walk to the end of the terminal, find a tiny counter with one agent and a line of 30 people. They wait for 45 minutes, finally get their boarding passes, rush through security which takes another 35 minutes, arrive at their gate sweating and exhausted, and the gate agent announces, "Final boarding call for San Francisco." They're the last passengers on the plane, everyone staring at them as they struggle down the aisle. They collapse into their seats feeling humiliated and anxious, and the flight hasn't even taken off yet. This is not how their granddaughter's celebration was supposed to begin. This happens every single day now in 2026. Seniors arriving with plenty of time but getting trapped in digital systems they don't understand. And today I'm going to walk you through every single new airport rule, every change, every trap, so you never end up like the Sullivans, so you travel with dignity and confidence. So pay attention because your next trip depends on understanding this. The first major change is what I call the digital gatekeeper crisis. In 2026, major airlines have moved to almost completely digital check-in processes. I know many of you prefer paper boarding passes. I love them too. They don't run out of battery. But here's the reality at major hubs like Newark, Atlanta, Dallas. The kiosks now prioritize facial recognition and app-based check-ins. If you don't have a smartphone or don't want to use an app, you cannot use the express check-in lanes. You must look for lines labeled full service or special assistance. And here's the problem. Airlines have reduced staffing at these counters because their algorithms assume 90% of passengers use apps. This means the line for human agents is now 3 times longer than it used to be. My urgent advice, if you're not using the airline app, you must arrive 3 hours early for domestic flights. I know that sounds excessive, but I watched a gentleman in Denver last month miss his flight to visit his grandchildren because the line to print his ticket was 55 minutes long. His grandkids were waiting at the airport with welcome signs. He never showed up. They went home crying, thinking Grandpa didn't care enough to come. However, there's a solution most seniors don't know exists. It's called the Trusted Companion feature. Most airline apps now allow a family member who isn't traveling with you to manage your check-in remotely. Your daughter in California can check you in from her phone and email the boarding pass directly to you, which you print at home before leaving. Having that paper in your hand is insurance against frozen screens and confused kiosks. Please print documents at home. It's your safety net. The second critical change is wheelchair and mobility assistance booking. This is where rules have become brutally strict in 2026. It used to be, you could arrive at the curb, catch a skycap's attention, say, "I need a wheelchair," and within minutes, someone would help you. Those days are gone at busy airports because of skyrocketing demand for assistance, which is wonderful. It means more seniors are traveling. The service providers are completely overwhelmed. The new mandatory rule. At most major airlines is wheelchair assistance must be booked at least 48 hours in advance attached to your reservation. If you wait until you arrive at the airport to request assistance, you're placed on a standby list that could mean waiting an hour or more. 3 weeks ago at Chicago O'Hare, Mrs. Grace Henderson, age 71, recovering from hip replacement surgery, flying to Phoenix to stay with her sister during recovery. She didn't know about the 48-hour booking rule, arrives at the airport walking with a cane, asks for a wheelchair at check-in. The agent says, "Ma'am, wheelchair service requires advance booking. You're on the standby list." Grace says, "But I just had surgery. I can't walk that far." And the agent responds, "I understand, ma'am, but policy is policy. Please have a seat and we'll call you when an attendant is available." Grace sits in the check-in area for 70 minutes watching other passengers with pre-booked wheelchairs get immediate service. Her hip is throbbing. She's trying not to cry. She finally gets assistance but misses her original flight. Has to be rebooked on a flight 3 hours later. Her sister is waiting at Phoenix Airport worried sick. Grace arrives in so much pain from standing and stress that she has to go to urgent care instead of her sister's house. The entire recovery visit starts with medical bills and exhaustion. Even if you can walk normally, if you struggle with long distances, book the wheelchair in advance. Airport concourses are getting longer. Some new terminals require walks over a mile from security to gates. Save your energy for the vacation. There is absolutely no shame in requesting mobility assistance. It's a tool just like a suitcase. And if you bring your own electric wheelchair or scooter, the Department of Transportation has new battery documentation requirements in 2026. You must have the technical specification sheet for your battery. Ramp agents are being extremely strict about lithium-ion batteries. Print the spec sheet from your manufacturer and tape it to the battery casing. If agents can't instantly verify battery voltage, they can deny the device. Don't risk losing your mobility equipment. The third new rule is Security Screening Notification Protocol. The new CT scanners are everywhere, and they're incredibly sensitive. If you have joint replacements, hip, knee, shoulder, or if you have a pacemaker, defibrillator, any medical implant, you need to know the proactive notification system. In the past, you might have walked through and waited for the alarm. In 2026, TSA prefers you notify them before screening. There's a free card you can download from the TSA website called a notification card. You fill it out stating, "I have a metal implant in my left knee," or "I have a pacemaker." You hand this to the officer before stepping into the scanner. Why does this matter? Because it changes how they screen you. Instead of the alarm going off and everyone panicking, the officer knows to expect the anomaly. They might switch you to a different scanner or do a targeted pat-down instead of a full invasive search. It gives you control. And critically, for those with pacemakers, do not let TSA officers wave the handheld metal detector wand over your chest. I see officers get careless with this. You have the right to stop them and say, "I have a pacemaker. Please do not use the wand near my chest." Request a manual pat-down. It takes longer, but your health is non-negotiable. Last month at Boston Logan, Mr. Vincent Torres, age 76, has a pacemaker, doesn't know about notification cards, walks through the scanner, alarm goes off. TSA officer immediately starts waving the handheld wand all over his body, including directly over his chest, where the pacemaker is located. Vincent feels a strange flutter in his chest, gets dizzy, sits down. Paramedics get called. He spends 4 hours in airport medical being monitored, misses his flight to his son's wedding in Miami. His son is walking down the aisle looking for his father in the seats. Empty chair. Vincent arrives the next day, misses the entire ceremony, watches the video later, and just cries. The fourth major rule change is medication documentation. The 3.4-ounce liquid rule does not apply to medically necessary liquids. This includes insulin, liquid medications, ice packs for keeping medicine cold, liquid nutrition. However, the 2026 screening process requires these be separated and declared. I see so many seniors packing pills in those daily organizers, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. While this is convenient for you, it creates massive problems for international customs. In 2026, with stricter drug trafficking controls, border agents in countries like Japan, UAE, and parts of Europe are cracking down on loose pills. 2 weeks ago at JFK International, Mrs. Linda Washington, age 68, flying to Dubai for a cruise, has her medications organized in a weekly pill container, no original bottles, arrives at Dubai Customs. Officer sees the loose pills, asks, "What are these medications?" Linda explains their prescriptions but has no documentation. Officer says, "We cannot verify these. You must have original prescription bottles." They confiscate all her medications. She's in Dubai with no blood pressure medication, no diabetes medication, nothing. Spends 2 days trying to find doctors who will write new prescriptions in a foreign country. Misses the first 2 days of her cruise. The entire vacation is ruined with stress and medical anxiety. My strong advice: keep medications in original prescription bottles with your name clearly visible. I know it takes more space, but if you have a medical emergency and a paramedic needs to know what you're taking, a box marked Tuesday tells them nothing. A bottle with dosage and drug names saves your life. The fifth new option, most seniors don't know exists, is the companion gate pass. Did you know you can have a family member walk you all the way to your gate? Even if they're not flying, this used to be extremely difficult to get. Now many airlines have formalized this for seniors needing assistance. It's called a non-passenger escort pass. If you're nervous about navigating the terminal alone, you can request this at check-in. You show ID, and they issue a pass that looks like a boarding pass. It allows your son or daughter to go through security with you, help you find your gate, sit with you, wait until you're walking down the jet bridge. Last week at Los Angeles LAX, Mr. James Peterson, age 74, widower, first time flying alone since his wife passed away 6 months ago, flying to Seattle to visit his daughter. He's terrified of getting lost in the massive terminal. His daughter drives him to the airport, wants to help him but thinks she can't go past security. They say goodbye at the curb. James walks into the terminal alone, gets confused at the kiosks, asks 3 different people for directions, finally finds his gate, but sits there for 2 hours in complete anxiety, convinced he's at the wrong place, boards the plane emotionally exhausted, arrives in Seattle and tells his daughter, "I don't think I can fly alone anymore," and she feels terrible because she could have requested a gate pass and walked him to his seat. When you check in, say clearly, "I would like to request a gate pass for my companion to assist me to the gate." They won't offer it automatically, you must ask, but it's available, and it changes everything for nervous travelers. The 6th critical health rule is deep vein thrombosis prevention. The air on planes is thin and dry. Dehydration hits older bodies faster than younger ones, and the risk of blood clots is real. I have a mandatory rule for senior passengers, the 1-hour rule. You cannot sit still for more than 1 hour, even if the seatbelt sign is on. Unless it's severe turbulence, you need to move your legs, do ankle circles, lift your knees, walk to the galley if possible, and please wear compression socks, not regular socks. Graduated compression socks 20 to 30 millimeters of mercury. They make them in normal colors now. Put them on before you get to the airport. 2 months ago, on a flight from Dallas to Honolulu, Mrs. Barbara Chen, age 72, sits in her window seat for 4 straight hours. Doesn't want to bother the passengers next to her by asking to get up. Doesn't drink water because she doesn't want to use the bathroom. Plane lands. She stands up and immediately faints, collapses in the aisle. We call for medical assistance. Paramedics meet the plane. She's diagnosed with severe dehydration and possible blood clot, spends 3 days in a Honolulu hospital. Her vacation ruined. Her family terrified. All because she didn't move or hydrate. The 7th rule is Real ID enforcement. As of May 2025, the Real ID Act is fully enforced. You cannot fly with a non-compliant driver's license, period. If you've stopped driving or have an older license without the star in the corner, you need a state-issued non-driver ID or use your passport. But here's the critical detail. Check your passport expiration date right now. Renewal times are currently running 8 to 10 weeks. Don't wait until 2 weeks before your trip. Last month at Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson, Mr. Robert Hayes, age 70, flying to Portland for his nephew's wedding, arrives at TSA checkpoint, hands over his driver's license from 2018, no Real ID star. TSA agent says, "Sir, this ID is not compliant. Do you have a passport?" Robert says, "I don't travel internationally. I don't need one." Agent responds, "You cannot fly with this license." Robert is turned away at security, misses his flight, has to drive 6 hours to the DMV, wait 3 hours for a Real ID, rebook a flight for the next day at triple the cost, arrives after the wedding reception ends. The 8th rule is layover timing. Airlines have tightened connection times to maximize efficiency. The computer might sell you a ticket with a 35-minute layover in Charlotte or Denver. Do not accept this. For a traveler over 60, a 35-minute connection is physically impossible. By the time you exit the plane, which takes 15 minutes. If you're in back, you have 20 minutes to cross a massive terminal. My mandatory rule: minimum 90 minutes for domestic connections. Minimum 2.5 hours for international. You need time to use restrooms, get food, move at your own pace, handle gate changes. 3 weeks ago, Mrs. Helen Martinez, age 69, books a flight from Miami to Seattle with a 40-minute connection in Denver. First flight lands on time. She's in row 32, takes 12 minutes to exit the plane, has to walk to another concourse, moving as fast as she can, arrives at the gate breathless and sweating. Gate door is already closed. Agent says, "Sorry, ma'am, boarding ended 3 minutes ago." Helen is stranded in Denver. Next available flight is 6 hours later. She sits in the terminal crying because she's missing her granddaughter's piano recital that she promised to attend. The little girl keeps looking for grandma in the audience. Empty seat. The 9th rule is travel insurance and Medicare coverage. Medicare does not provide coverage outside the 50 United States. If you break a hip in Italy, Medicare pays $0. You must have travel medical insurance. But in 2026, insurance algorithms have changed regarding pre-existing conditions. You must read the fine print. Most policies require a look-back period of 60 to 180 days. If you had a medication change or doctor visit for a condition in that window, it might not be covered. Look for policies offering pre-existing condition waivers. The golden rule: buy insurance within 14 days of booking your trip. Buy it when you buy the ticket. Do not wait. So let me give you the complete 2026 Senior Travel Protocol if you can't use airline apps. Arrive 3 hours early for domestic flights. Book wheelchair assistance 48 hours in advance. No exceptions. Use TSA notification cards for medical implants and request manual screening when needed. Keep all medications in original prescription bottles. Request companion gate passes for family assistance through security. Follow the 1-hour movement rule on flights. And wear compression socks. Verify your ID has Real ID Star, or bring passport. Book layovers of minimum 90 minutes domestic and 2.5 hours international. Purchase travel medical insurance within 14 days of booking with pre-existing condition coverage. Travel in your 60s, 70s, and 80s can be the most rewarding travel of your life. You have the time, you have the wisdom, you have the appreciation for the journey. Do not let technology or new rules scare you away from seeing your grandchildren, from taking that dream vacation, from living your retirement fully. You just need to adapt your strategy to the 2026 airport reality. I want to see you on my flights. I want to hear about your grandkids, your retirement adventures, your life stories. You belong in the skies just as much as anyone else. And next week, I'm doing a special video on the best and worst airports for senior travelers based on walking distances, bathroom accessibility, and seating availability. You might be surprised which major hub is actually the worst for mobility. If this information helped you prepare for 2026 travel, hit that like button right now, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss next week's airport rankings. Share this video with your parents, grandparents, or any senior traveler who needs confidence before their next trip. Take care of yourselves. Keep moving. Safe travels, everyone. This is Stella.